Welcome to Phase 2, here where the movies all take place in a post-Avengers world where superheroes are now the norm. It's common knowledge at this point that there are aliens out there along with superpowered beings, and so the question remains, what will happen next? Phase 2 has some pretty good movies. I feel like this was the stage where the creators behind these movies realized that they had to try different things to stay relevant. And a lot of these movies are certainly very different from the typical superhero stories told in Phase 1. Yes, most are from the same block still, but there are evidently different sort of cuts around the edges of these movies that all try to do a little more with what they're given. That is why I am particularly excited to be looking back at what Phase 2 has to offer. So, let's hop right into it. Just as Iron Man started off Phase 1, Tony Stark once again kicks another phase of Marvel's cinematic universe into action. Iron Man 3 is directed by Shane Black and stars Robert Downey Jr., Don Cheadle, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jon Favreau, Rebecca Hall, Ben Kingsley, and Guy Pearce. It tells the story of Tony Stark having to deal with the aftermath of the Battle of New York, all while being forced into a conflict with a mysterious terrorist figure. And you know what? I'm gonna start off by just saying it. I like Iron Man 3. And I don't mean like as in, oh, it's alright, it's not as bad as people say. No, when I say like, I mean I really like it. Like, it's one of my favorite movies in the MCU. When I started off this YouTube channel, in my mind, I always wanted to say something like that in a video. You see, back in the day, I was actually made fun of for liking the movie. I mean, okay, it's not as if I was bullied or anything, but when I said I enjoyed Iron Man 3, people would raise their eyebrows, and my taste in film was called into question. Lately though, it's become more mainstream to like the film. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still has its haters, but no one treats you like trash anymore if you liked it, which is a shame. I wanted to be able to say that I enjoyed this film to an audience that didn't respond well to it. It was the people who hated it that made me reevaluate this movie and made me realize just how much I liked it. And I wanted to be able to say it to their faces. Not to tell them that they were wrong, because everyone is entitled to their own opinions regarding films, but because it was through them that I was able to realize how I truly felt. This movie is one that explores the character of Tony Stark with far more intensity than any other movie does. It forces him to change. It beats on him, stripping him down to his very core. Robert Downey Jr. does wonders for the character here, as per usual, but a lot of the reason that Tony Stark works so well is also due to the writing for his character. I thought it was very well done, and reveals so much about the hero, defining him for the next several movies he shows up in. The story of the movie is also one that is very interesting. It's a detective story that's riveting and fun to watch. At this point, it's established that RDJ could have chemistry with a kitchen sink, so it was clever to see Tony's character buddy up with multiple interesting figures in the movie, whether it be Harley, Gary, or good old Rhodey. There's a mystery, and the unraveling of the story threads caused me to become more and more invested as the movie went on. Something I also really enjoyed were the suits. Wow, were there a lot of suits in the movie. I really wish that the film had more time to show off the uniqueness of some of these suits, but I'm pretty happy just having been able to see them. The Mark 42 holds a special place in my heart, despite being one of the weakest suits I've ever seen Tony don in the MCU. Is it possible for a suit to have personality? The Mark 42 says yes-ish? I don't know, it's special to me, okay? Unpopular opinion incoming, as though liking Iron Man 3 wasn't that big of an unpopular opinion already. But I like Aldrich Killian. I like the entire villain subplot of the movie. Sure, he was power hungry as per usual comic book villain. And I'm not saying he's a profound antagonist or anything, but the way he goes about his plans, there's something so clever about it. And he does it in a way that I could totally see working in real life because of the messed up way our world works. Killian gets a lot of crap for being one of Marvel's worst villains, but I gotta disagree. If anything, he's a little above average. Guy Pearce does well in the role, and I like him. Yeah, I like him. I like the effects in the movie, but the overall look of the film is pretty meh. At times, it looks really, really dull. I don't take too many points away from the movie because of that regard, but it's a little disappointing. I find that this happens more often than not in Marvel films, and it's definitely something that they can improve on. Just thought I'd point it out. I have my gripes about the movie, but a lot of them are pretty spoilery. So what I'll do is I'll give my grade for the movie, and then afterwards I'll discuss what I didn't like about it. As much as I want to praise this movie, it's not perfect and it has some flaws. But overall, this was an extremely fun movie. It was back in 2013, and it is now. There was a moment back when the movie first came out that it looked like RJ was going to be leaving the MCU. Had Iron Man 3 been his last film as Stark, I felt like it would have been a good send-off. It's a gem that I wish more people appreciated. It took some risks with Tony's character, and as a result, forced him to go through some changes that caused Iron Man to evolve, which was all the better for the later MCU movies. Even without the connections to the wider MCU though, it's a movie that can stand on its own and provides entertainment, a good story, along with its interesting characters. And it's for that reason that I give Iron Man 3 an 8 out of 10. I really struggled with that score, but yeah, I stand by it. So what are my problems with this movie? A spoiler alert again for those who haven't seen it, but come on, it's 2018, this came out in 2013, what are you doing with your life if you haven't seen it? Yeah. I will say that I didn't have a problem with the Mandarin twist. Now, I understand those who have a problem with it, especially fans of the character. It was really, really misleading, but it's something I enjoy. I'm willing to agree to disagree regarding the twist with those who hate it, so I'm not gonna go into it. Now, one problem I have with the movie is that it asks its audience to make some huge leaps in logic at points. It really requires some suspension of disbelief. Sometimes it's in minor stuff, like Tony just having a mini repulsor when Steven attacks him, like he really carries that around. But sometimes it's in more blatant stuff, like Tony not being aware when a missile was headed towards his place, right after he gives his address to a terrorist. The movie kinda loses some legitimacy because of stuff like that. My second big problem with the movie, and something that I think bothers me more than most, is that I don't like what they did with Pepper's character. They really flip-flop with her. Like, for example, they make it a point to show that she's attracted to Killian, or that they have some chemistry and stuff, but they don't go anywhere with it. It feels pointless and a little cheap. At the end, they have her die. Or die in quotation marks. When she fell into that fire, I'll be honest, I really felt it. My heart sank and I felt so bad for Tony. But hey, what do you know? I'm the idiot for thinking that they'd actually kill someone off in one of these movies. It was disgusting, frankly, to see how fast the movie went back on its decision to kill Pepper. I felt truly violated by the fake-out. And I stand by the fact that story-wise, I believe that it would have been better had Pepper actually died. At this point in the franchise, she has no more reason to be in movies. Hell, she wasn't even there for Civil War. If she had died, her ghost could have haunted Tony. I mean, not literally, of course, because that would be weird, but then, like, there would be guilt weighing down on Tony's shoulders for the rest of the franchise, and that would have given future directors something more to beat Tony up with. Because we all like to see Tony Stark get beat up. Just kidding. But, not really. Tortured Tony is best Tony, and I think Pepper dying would have made his character a lot more nuanced for future movies. Anyway, so yeah, those are my thoughts regarding Iron Man 3. I might be alone for some of these thoughts. I know some of them are more out there than the thoughts that I've had for previous movies, but again, this movie is pretty special to me. I have a lot more to say about it, but I didn't want to make the video too long. It was already kinda hard having to upload 2 videos in a week. Speaking of which, check out my Black Panther review if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, that's it for now. Next week, we go back to Asgard.